Well, hello. Welcome to Quilts and Other Happy Accidents. I'm Sherri. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different because I was looking for a pattern for a charity quilt again. And I'm trying to use up all of my stash. Now, I don't know if I'll ever be successful to use it all up, but the important thing is I'm not buying, I'm using what I have. And I've still got 3 tubs, so we're just going to keep plowing through these quilts. I like quick quilts, and this is on the back of my sofa generally. And I got to looking at it and I was like, I wonder where that pattern is. Well, I looked high and low because I knew I had made this quilt 2008, 2009, something along in there. And at that time, I had subscriptions to both Fawns and Porter and American Patchwork. I went through my magazines. I went through my patterns. I went through online resources. I probably spent a day or two looking for this pattern. And then it hit me. It's not that hard. I got to looking at it, and really it looks complicated, partly because of the fabrics I've chosen. But after I got to thinking about it, I was like, wait a minute, this is a really big block. This is a really big block. So these are just big blocks connected somehow. And I got to looking at the connection. It's no wonder I thought this was called puzzles or jigsaw or something along those lines, but it's not. It's a 9-patch. So I got my handy dandy ruler out and started thinking, if I were to recreate this quilt, how would I do it? So I measured these blocks, and this quilt, like I said, it's been around for a while. And it's quilted, of course. So it's been quilted, it's been laundered. But these blocks probably were a 9-inch block before they were quilted and all of that. Well, that makes perfect sense because then your 9-patch would be a really simple math problem. So if this is 9.5 inches and each one of these is 3.5 inches, that would give us a 9-patch that finishes at 9 inches and a big block that finishes at 9 inches. All right, let's go to the drawing board and see if that's how it works. All right, here we are at my table where I do some planning and things. And I have gone through my stash, and down in the very bottom of one of the tubs, I found a bunch of Asian fabrics. This was also probably from the early 2000s. I was in a phase. I was doing kaleidoscope blocks. I was doing a lot of Asians. I was into black as my neutral, so I have a ton of black. I still think black is an underutilized neutral. But look at these beautiful fabrics. I mean, seriously. They're clearly all out of the same line. I looked and looked to see if I could find the name of it. I can't. But I decided these would make a really good charity quilt because I had a third of a yard here, a half a yard there. And then I also remembered something about this that I thought it was probably a pattern that was fat quarter friendly. And I'll explain all that in a minute. So here's my fabrics. I've already cut blocks that are at 9.5 inches. So they'll finish at 9. I love these colors. Look at these colors. I mean, just so rich and vibrant. And I lean into jewel tones. I needed a blender fabric for the rest of the 9-patch. And I thought about using black, but that was just a little too much. Then I found this and this. I only had a half a yard of this, but I had a little more than a yard of the orange. So I was like, sure, let's do that. I cut strips of 3.5 inches, and I've cut them together, put them together, and then cut them 3.5 inches wide. I really like strip piecing. It speeds things up. You don't have to strip piece this one. This one you could cut all 3.5-inch blocks together. And I'll show you why I say that. We're going to go to the design board, put this together, and see if I'm right. We can make this into a simple 9-patch that connects to these big blocks. Come over here with me. So here we are at the design board, and I'm just going to start putting these blocks up, my big blocks. I'm not really putting them in any particular order because I want to see if this is going to work, if it's going to connect and make it look like those puzzle pieces from that first block. At least that's how I see it. I guess everybody's eyes are a little different. You see different things, right? All right, let's start with that. Now, because I've got these pieces together, I'm going to start doing this and just matching the center block with my 9-patch. Got a whole pile here, I'm sorry. A little fumbly. There we go. By golly, it's coming together. Look at this. Do you see what I'm seeing? I'm seeing these coming together and interlocking in this 9-patch, just like we had in the other one. I'm going to zoom it in so you can see it just a little better, but it's there. This corner piece, because I've done these in groups of two, I'm going to have to add a corner piece, but that's no big deal. And it doesn't even matter which one I put in, whether it's the gold or the burnt orange. How about that? We just recreated a simple quilt. I'm going to start sewing it together, show you what it looks like when we come back. Oh, sewing it together. I'm going to start sewing it together, and I'm going to show you how I did the strip piecing on this block. I think you can probably see it because I'm going to sew this and this. Then I'm going to add the block here and sew this together to make my 9-patch. I've brought my pieces over from the design board. I've already sewn on that extra block. It doesn't really matter where you put it, one side or the other. It's a 9-patch, right? I would caution you, because these pieces have to match up with the solid block that they interlock with, be very careful how you lay this out. You can probably see the fuzz here. I sewed it together wrong the first time. This is take 2, but it's important that you see it done correctly. So I'm going to sew these two together. These are just 1/4-inch seams as usual for quilting. I don't interlock my seams. I press my seams open. I don't really seem to have a problem. If it's slipping around on you, just put a clip in it. It's not rocket science. It's fabric. Okay. Now you can see how easily this can get turned around because I did not have 3 of the burnt orange before. I had it so they were in the corners. I'm going to check this against my pattern on the design wall and be right back. I was correct. Match up your seams. I'm going to go ahead and press these. So some of these seams actually are off a bit. I switched machines, and every machine is a little different on how it lines up. But these are sizes that I can work with and stretch, and it'll be fine. I've used my clips to keep my seams nice and flat. I'm going to stretch just a little bit here. Press that open. Make sure we've got it lined up. Here we are at the design board. Look at this. You can see how they're starting to interlock. And it really kind of hides the fact that that's a 9-patch block. I think this is really great. This is such a quick, easy quilt. I'm going to go ahead and finish sewing everything together and show you what it looks like at the end. Stay tuned. Well, here it is. I've been working on it for probably 3.5, 4 hours. And I had some of the columns put together in fairness to the audience, just so you know, I didn't do all this today. But in reality, it's come together really, really fast. These are huge blocks. I mean, they finish at 9 inches. And yeah, it's just a 9-patch. So there's not a lot of sewing on it. I did have to kind of balance some things out. And of course, I was using my stash, and that means that I had to come up with some extra fabric again, but that's kind of my MO, so bear with me. So let's review exactly what this is. And I mentioned at the beginning it's fat quarter friendly, and I'll tell you why. This is a 9-inch block. And for each 9-inch block, you need a 3.5-inch block around the edge to give it that interlocking look. Now, when you're working with fat quarters, they measure, yes, I had to write this down, 18 by 22-ish, 21. So clearly on the 21-inch length, you can get 2 9.5-inch blocks. Now below that, you can get several of the 3.5-inch blocks. And if you do like I did, you can put them together with their neutral so that you at least get blocks of 2. I'm not sure it saved me any real time because I still had to work on the design board to make sure I had every block lined up in the same position. It's pretty easy to turn them around, but they're short seams, so it goes well. So this is a twin size, which means it is 63 blocks. It is 7 on the short side and 9 on the long side, which gives me 63 by 81 inches. That's pretty good. I may have enough to put a little border around it. I certainly have enough to bind it. But here's the box of leftovers I've got. Yes, I keep my quilt things together in whatever box I happen to have. I mean, use what you've got. It doesn't hurt anything, right? So this is it. Remember where we started with that smaller lap size that I had on my sofa? Here it is in Orientals. You can still see the 9-patch walking through, but it interlocks with every block. Isn't that cool? I'll put more information about dimensions and things like that in the description. Please make a quilt. Make a quick and easy quilt. I'm Sherri. This is Quilts and Other Happy Accidents. If you've enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. Keep quilting.